Hi all, and welcome to this installation and mostly modding guide for Resident Evil Revelations, the first game in that series. There are two games, and I am recording this video in 2025, and I'm doing it on a Windows 11 PC. Specs and things like that will be added in the video description if you are interested in both what I'm running this on and what the original requirements for this game was when it was released way back then. So I usually start these videos by installing the actual game, and I have this game on a physical disk. But when I popped that into the driver, it turned out that it was actually the Steam version. So it connected to Steam, I activated a code there, and then it started to download from the physical disk. But I would assume that it is actually the Steam version that I have in all essentials, seeing as it's running from their platform. And yeah, I only got there through a different path. So that's why I'm not showing it to you as a part of this video. I basically installed the Steam version of this game. So in this video, we will instead mainly focus on how to mod this game. And this game has a few years on its record by now, and it also originated on a, I don't want to say it, but slightly non-high-tech platform. I think it was the 3DS or something like that. So it has a lot of room for improvements. So in this guide, we will be installing 3 different mods. One that improves cutscenes, one that improves the graphics, and one that improves the weapon skins. And all of those 3 together should make for a more pleasant and up-to-date experience. So there you have a short summary of what we will be doing. But before we jump into all that goodness, I will be running through a short disclaimer having to do with the modding facts, basically. All right, so welcome to this disclaimer segment of this modding guide. I've added this little segment to all my modding guide videos because usually at some point a number of questions usually pop up, and it doesn't really have to do with which game I am modding. So there are basically general questions having to do with modding. So I thought I'd have this little disclaimer to get some facts down. And the first one, and I can't stress this enough, is that even though I try to work with good mods, proven mods, there's always a bit of risk involved with modding a game. And it has to do with you basically breaking something apart and then putting it back together again using parts that weren't there originally. And that always has a certain amount of risk to it. So you will have to live with that little risk factor. Hopefully not that big, but it's there. And why is this then? Well, it has to do with building things, but it also has to do with the fact that we are working on computers, and there are so many different variations to what a computer has in it. So there are any number of ways that you can put things together, and some of them are more common, but there are also unusual setups, and a lot of those might not work with general mods. We just don't know beforehand. So there's always a bit of trial and error into the modding scene. And you have to live with that as well. Unfortunately, for many of us, getting the mods to work is kind of part of the modding fun. But if that's not for you, then modding can be stressful. That's just how it is. The third thing I usually mention in my videos, and that is if you have a favorite game or a game that you are currently working your way through, get those save files someplace where the game can't break them. So have a backup copy someplace so that if the worst does happen, you can always retrieve those and go on your merry way with where you left off. Also, if you want no hassle at all, then the vanilla version of the game usually does just fine, and it has been tested the most for obvious reasons. So if everything else I just mentioned sounds very stressful, then maybe the vanilla version of the game is the best one for you. And the last thing, I always try to answer questions, and I like answering questions, and if I can, I also add links to places that might help you out. But at times there are simple things I can't answer for you, and it might have to do with problems I myself never ran into or any other type of issue, but sometimes that's just how it is. Alright, having said all of this, we are done with the disclaimer and we will move on to the next part. Alright, we are through the disclaimer segment of this video, or you just jumped straight to this point, and here we will start up the game, which is usually something I do with all games I mod, because many games requires the creation of folders, and many a time they are created when you first start up the game. So even before getting to the modding part, install the game and then start it up. And when I start it up, I usually also go into the in-game settings and make it look as nice as I can with the tools that are provided to begin with in the vanilla version. So we will do that right now. Alright, so the game started up. Always a good first sign.
Resident Evil Revelations.
Alright, so I guess this is some co-op thing online, which I'm not gonna do, so I'm going for no. I think raid mode is what that was all about. Alright, so we are inside of the game, and we'll have a look at the options first. Immediately feels like there's some mouse acceleration. Yeah, let's turn that off. And also sensitivity. Okay, nothing weird here. Brightness, I don't know yet if I'm in need of tweaking that, so we'll leave it as is. I think we had another. Yeah, motion blur off, definitely. You want to keep this? Yes. So there we go. Game is already looking slightly better. Okay. So I think that is our first vanilla run of the game to get the settings to where we want them. But seeing as we're in here, I will also start up the campaign and record some vanilla gameplay so you have something to compare it to later.
Hey, G. Queen Zenobia. This thing is lucky to be afloat.
Take us around. Let's find a boarding point.
All right. So we are actually up and running. And for being a game that started out as a 3DS game, it actually looks pretty good still. And it's not super old, but it's not super new either.
You okay?
I guess I'm actually already sprinting, but yeah. So,
The stench.
It's been abandoned for a while.
very true. So there we go. We've seen an intro cutscene, and those we will try and replace with better looking ones. And here we have some environments and gameplay and some very dead people, and we'll try to replace these with HD textures as well. So now you've seen how the game looks when we've done nothing at all aside from in-game settings. All right, so we are at the modding segment of this guide, and you've either skipped straight through this part or you've been through the others and finally arrived to the modding segment. Either way, we are here, and I will start this segment off by saying that there are a lot of mods for Resident Evil Revelations, and I would assume that a lot of them are good, and a lot of them can be mixed together. And I went through some of the mods that I found and selected 3 that I like the sound of. And one of them will fix the general graphics, one of them will fix the weapon skins, and one of them will change the video sequences in the game. And 2 of these, the general HD mod for the graphics and the crisper video files mod, those are big. And I mean, as in very big. They're actually bigger or equally as big as the base game. So you need to have a lot of hard disk space available for this to work. I think there are 6.8 or 7 gig a piece. And I think that's also the size of the general game. So you must have quite a lot of space available to do this. The weapon skin mod wasn't that big at all. And all of that information will be in the video description. So here we are at the Nexus mod page. And this is a big site. It has mods for a lot of games. And when you come here, you can search in the search field in the upper right corner for Resident Evil Revelations, and you'll get to this starting page, so to speak. And if you scroll down, you have an overview over the content that has been released for this game. So as you can see, there's quite a lot here, and there's even more if you continue on. So if you're interested, have a look at the list and see if you actually want to try to add something on top of the things I will be adding. But the ones I've picked are as follows. We have the HD texture pack, which was uploaded here by Evgeshaik. Probably butchered that, but I think it's important to call out the good gamers that have helped us all out. And about this mod, it is an HD texture pack AI enhanced, and I thought we would do this, even though we will run it after the game has been modded, so you can see. But here we have some comparisons. So this is the original, this is the crisper one, original, crisper one, original, crisper one. Original, crisper one. So, as you can see, there is a difference for sure. And this also applies to character models. If you see this enemy, for instance. Yeah. So this one is nice. So we will download that. And we have some installation information. So if you want to read up on things, then go ahead and do that on the page. Obviously, the links to all of these mods will be in the description. I will go through all of this in the video, so I will not linger, but information on how to do this will be available under each mod page. I should also add that this is a free forum, but you need to have an account in order to download mods from it. And you can also pay to have faster upload and download speeds, but I've never done that. So I just started my downloads a bit earlier before I started doing this video. So everything was in place when I needed it. So yeah, this one I'm getting, and the next one is called 60 FPS pre-rendered cutscenes. And well, it is what it is. So it crisps things up a little bit. And yeah, this is a simple mod that replaces the 30 FPS pre-rendered cutscenes of this game with AI interpolated 60 FPS pre-rendered cutscenes. And that's about it. So same thing here. It's a big one, so it might take a little bit to download, but after that, it's good to go. And it's been uploaded by Riyasat Salmin Sami. I hope that was somewhat close to how that's pronounced. And the only caveat with this one is that even the original cutscenes stuttered a little bit, and these can stutter a little bit as well. So in game, we must remember to go back and put this variable that we had. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, here we go. Variable. We need to remember to put this in the settings in game. So to help this along a bit. So that's the second one. And the third one, it's uploaded by Epic Awesome Mods. That one I think I didn't butch. And this is simply, as you can see, the weapons. Weapons HD textures for Resident Evil Revelations. And this one is much, much smaller. And it's also quick to be installed. You only have to drop it into the folder. So I have downloaded all of these three. And if you want to emulate me, then these three are the ones you are going for. But as I said, there are many more. So feel free to find even more cool things to add if you are so inclined. Okay, so now that we have downloaded the three mods, we can begin with the actual tinkering with what we downloaded. So I'll start back up at the Steam page for the game, because we want to go to the folders. And if you right click on the game, you should have this option next to last one. And in here, you can go to local files and go ahead and do that. And when you've done that, you should have, let's bring it in, make it a little bit bigger. So you should have Resident Evil. I'm not sure why it's in caps. It's just the way it was. But it should take you to the Windows, Program Files 86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Resident Evil Revelations folder. And this is the folder where we will be adding things. So keep this one open in a tab. And then I've made my very own tab, which is called Resident Evil Revelations Mods, but you can call it whatever you want if you want to emulate what I'm doing. And here we have the 3 zip files that we've downloaded. So we have the HD texture pack, the Revelations 60 FPS pre-rendered cutscenes, and the weapon HD textures. So these files are in here, but I've already gone ahead and extracted them. So now we have texture pack. This is the video, and this is the weapons character skins. And because 2 of the mods wanted you to do this, one of them did, but I did it with both of them. So I have backup folders for the original video files. So I found those under the D3 folder in the base game. We'll see where this one is located, but this is basically the original video files. So they are now stored here. And this is the original folder for the weapon skins. So we have that to fall back on if anything breaks. And this one I only opened up because some of you might have gotten hold of other mods where you need to go into the app data. So if you want to do that, you can find the config files under Windows user, whatever it is you're calling yourself, app data local Capcom Resident Evil Revelations. And all of this will be in the description as links, of course. And if you use text editor on this config file, you can go in and change things there. We will not be doing that, but if you have mods that do require access to this, that's where you'll find it. Now, let's start. So, go into the extracted mod. I will start, I think, with the HD texture pack. So I don't think we need that. And the rest of them, DAT and native PC, we do have here. So let's do this. I'm going to copy these and then I will paste them into here. And at some point, this should pop up. You want to replace, and we want to replace everything. So top option. And it said 45 minutes, but as you can see, that's not really the case here. So that's done. Onwards to the next one. And let's go with the video. And see, it's called demo and then D3. So I'll copy the D3 and then we'll try to find this through the native PC. So now we're in the game folder again, native PC, demo, and then you can see D3. So this one have the old files, but I've copied those. So I feel secure in pasting this one in here. And once again, it asks you if you want to replace the files, and we do want to do that. All right, that's 2 done. And we have the weapons textures and native PC, archive this time, game, and Shara and WP. So I'm gonna do the same thing here, copy this one, and then go into archive. Nope. Let's see, was it game? Yeah, there we go. And VP. So I'm dropping it in, and we have the same thing here, replace. And there we have it. So I think one of the mods, the HD texture, actually wanted you to download a mod handling software, but only if you were only running this. If you have other mods, which we have, it said that was better to do what I just did and drop them in manually. So we've done that now. So at this point, it's time to start up the game again and see if everything works as intended.
Resident Evil Revelations.
All right, we are back inside of the game after all of the mods. And so here we have, we already had it on variable, so we don't not need to tinker with it any further. So yeah, I think that's it. Alright, it's time to start up the game again and have a good look.
Hey, Jill.
Incredible.
The Queen Zenobia. This thing is lucky to be afloat.
Take us around. Let's find a boarding point.
It's been 94 minutes since Chris and Jessica dropped off the radar.
But the interpolation from their last known coordinates puts them...
Right here on this ship.
Alright. We are in game with everything in place and it seems to be running. And we have new textures.
Jill, you okay? The stench.
It's been abandoned for a while.
So, from what I can tell, everything seems to be working and you can see the improvements that have been added to the game. So, I will take it one step further and open a new area where we haven't been previously. Just to make sure that you can see some more of the changes that we made.
No signs of life. But I feel like something's here.
Hey,
What? What happened?
I don't think we're alone.
Alright, I think this is where we will end off the review of the added textures and videos. Hopefully you've seen the difference that these changes have made, and I do hope that the guide will help you to emulate all of this, some of it, or this and some more on top. And if this guide helped you out, I would love it if you click on those like and subscribe buttons, and comments are mostly welcome, at least if you have genuine questions. As I mentioned earlier, I will try to answer as much as possible, but sometimes it might be difficult. But there we go. The modding guide for Resident Evil Revelation is over. thank you all so much for having watched my modding guide video for Resident Evil Revelations. I really do hope it helped you. If it did, why not hit those like, subscribe buttons, and I look forward to seeing you again in future videos. Bye for now.